Honourable Simon.
Mr. Speaker,
Well, the Honourable Simon Bridges.
in this and save the on Phil Goff. Well, in fact, it was Phil Goff's call, Miss Mackey. I don't think it was. And to talk, Mr. Speaker, about John Banks, who actually I think we know knew quite a lot about small businesses, who started out in small business, grew a business, and one thing is for sure, knew the effect as a minister, still does as a member of Parliament, of poor public policy on the vulnerable in the area of employment law, Mr. Speaker. And that's not something we can say for the opposition in this House. We've seen some atrocious policy statements coming out of Honourable David Cunliffe, the new leader of the Labour Party, when it comes to these sort of things. Policies actually that make it very clear the Labour Party isn't the party, Mr. Speaker, of workers. They are not the party of the vulnerable, because if they were, how could they raise the minimum wage to $15, Mr. Speaker, a policy that would cost some 7,000 jobs. No more fire at will, says Mr. Cunliffe, 13,000 jobs. Scrap youth wages, 2,000 jobs. Support the living wage campaign, potentially up to 26,000 jobs. Well, John Banks, as small business minister, Mr. Speaker, he knew that you can't have, frankly, numbskull policies like that, policy by wishful thinking, policy that hurts those you're most trying to help, and that's why he did as a minister and continues to, as a member, support this good government, not lumping hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars of costs onto the poor businesses that he represents and that this government represents. And Mr. Speaker, we can also say about all of this that what is very important that seems to be lost in the speeches on the other side of the House is that here we have a case where the history, I think as Trevor Mallard made quite clear, the police didn't see fit to prosecute. They went through, and there's two bases for the police, evidential sufficiency and public interest. Now, I haven't gone back and checked the papers and how it went at that time, but clearly they decided on the basis of evidential sufficiency there was no reason to prosecute. And so we have a private prosecution. Quite a different, as Trevor knows. Sometimes they're successful, as Trevor Mallard knows. Sometimes these prosecutions are successful, but quite different from a police one with the processes that go through that. And really my point simply is this, Mr. Speaker, that in this House, in this country, we all have the right to be innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And so to have the kind of kangaroo court statements we've heard, particularly from Materia Ture, I think particularly nasty vitriolic comments from her about what a disgrace and so on. Well, I would expect better from someone with a law degree, actually, from someone like Materia Ture, because actually in this House we should uphold the fact that Mr. Banks is innocent until proven guilty. He has, however, of course, Mr. Speaker, done the right thing. He has done the right thing because as soon as his case has been committed for trial, he has decided that he doesn't want to be a distraction to the government, and he stood down as a minister, as I think Tony Ryle said, much quicker and with integrity, unlike many of the numerous cases we could list from the other side of the House. One, Taito Philip Field, for example, months and months, actually years, wasn't it? Wasn't it years, Phil Goff, that you took defending him? All he was guilty of doing was looking out for his constituents. And so, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we follow good process. We look after workers, actually real workers. That's what John Banks was about, a small business minister, what he's still about, I think, as a member of Parliament. And so, Mr. Speaker, I'd much rather be supporting this government any day of the week than that poor, sorry lot over there who stood up for Taito Phillip Field far, far too long.
The Honourable Anne Tolley.